Hello, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
How are you?
Excellent. How about yourself?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I have some Reddit questions for you guys today. I made a post and I asked the community if they had any questions for the developers. And I got a serious list. The first question is, are we getting another state of the game-like blog post? Back in January, you outlined there was going to happen quite some things. And after the mid-season break, they haven't said anything on their website. Are you going to make another state of game-like blog?
You're going to point that
Yeah,
to me.
I'm going to point it to you.
Not as far as I know. Generally speaking, you know, that blog post at the beginning of the year was to try and set out our trajectory for the entirety of the year. So we'll continue to update things as we're getting ready to release them, as we're talking about them, stuff like what we're doing currently with the feature pack, where we're rolling out blog posts almost daily. But I don't expect there'll be another large post of that sort until we're at a point where we're kind of trying to give another example of, all right, this is the direction that Guild Wars 2 is going over the long term. We try and, generally speaking, focus a little bit more on things that are coming up shortly, as opposed to giving big long-term posts. So I think it would probably be a while before you see another post like that. That being said, it's not entirely impossible that it won't happen, but I don't expect to see anything anytime soon.
Okay. Are you considering adding guild halls?
So we know guild halls was a big thing in Guild Wars 1, and so it's something that we are often discussing. We don't have anything to announce at this time, but it's definitely, along with a lot of other features, it's something that we think about a lot, and we know people are really excited about things like that, and whenever we talk about bringing a system from Guild Wars 1 or adding a new system, we try to make sure that if we're going to do that, we have enough time to do it right. And that it's going to be a uniquely Guild Wars 2 experience. So, nothing to announce at this time.
Okay, no problem. Polls show that more than 70% of your player base thinks that this map isn't suitable for rated play. Why are you so determined to keep it in the rotation? That's a hard question, but...
It's true. Well, so I mean, basically the idea of Skyhammer was to bring that kind of first-person shooter, ring-out kind of feel to PvP. It's definitely a map that has people that don't like it at all, but it also has people that like it. One of the things that we're trying to focus on right now is just general improvements to PvP as a system overall. You know, in terms of pulling a map, not pulling a map, you know, there are things that we talk about internally, but it's a big question to make that decision. So right now, you know, we're going to leave the map in there, but it's always something that we're evaluating and taking fan feedback into it. But and it is absolutely the case that we're aware that there's there's certainly a vocal group that dislike the map. We know that there are other people that do in fact enjoy the map, so we want to be able to provide that kind of variety of experience. That being said, you know, we always are evaluating those kinds of things and making decisions we try and make those decisions over a long term, so we have as much of the evidence as possible.
Zaiten have Tech, Jormek have Claw, Kralik have Shatterer, Mord have none, and also Prometheus have none. When can we see another world boss that is a dragon lieutenant of an elder dragon?
So I think you see that there are several of them that exist in open world maps, and you see with Season 2 that we're starting to add new maps as part of the Living World season. So you know, we can't really talk about what we're planning to do in the future or what is going to go on with Living World. But you can see that we tend to, throughout Season 1, you can see that it has a very epic scale and scope. And so, you know, I wouldn't rule out large-scale encounters. The Jungle Worm is something that came in as part of Living World. And that, technically at least, is on par with the level of dragon encounters. But we can't really comment on where things are going or what the plan is, so you just have to stay tuned.
When will we get more dungeon fractals, any kind of dungeon-related changes? Like, another question is a hard mode for dungeons, or the setting of difficulty in the
So, hard mode is definitely something that we're going to stay away from at this point. That being said, you know, we've tossed around a lot of ideas for ways that we can improve the longevity of dungeons without doing, say, major works. Like the Twilight Arbor rework was a pretty serious amount of work, and that's not something that we're necessarily want to commit to at this point for other dungeons. But that being said, fractals are a really flexible system that allows us to hopefully add kind of smaller chunks of content without the entire amount of work it takes to redo a dungeon. Hard mode, like I said, is not really something that we're interested in, but at the same time, you can look at some of the things that we've done with the Living World achievements in Season 2, where we have these kind of like, hey, do this crazy thing. That's an avenue that's at least open. I wouldn't say that we're currently building anything like that, but we have that framework in place, and it's something that's easy to understand. Dungeons are an area that we're always kind of, we feel like we want to make smaller changes to dungeons rather than larger ones. It's an area that has a very kind of dedicated play group, but at the same time, we're looking at extending the life of all the areas of the game, so we can only focus on so many things at once. Right now, what you've seen from Dungeons is kind of the place that they're going to be at for a while, but like I said, they're always, we're always looking for kind of smaller changes that we can make, little tweaks that we can make to improve quality of life and that kind of thing in Dungeons. So you may see some changes of that sort coming out in the near future as well.
Thank you. When is the next feature patch?
So the next feature patch is September 9th. So it's coming up very shortly. Almost every day from now until September 9th, we're going to have new information coming out on Guildwars2.com, revealing a bunch of the features that are going to be part of that. Here at Gamescom, we've been focusing in on some of the competitive aspects. And so Devin might be able to fill you in a little bit on what's going on with competitive.
Yeah, so we've been spending this the first week or so will be very much focused on competitive sides of things. So that means structured PvP, world versus world, skills and balance. And so we're making a lot of changes to those areas where there'll be a full balance update, so every single profession is going to see changes. There'll be blog posts and as well as Ready Up streams that kind of go into a lot more detail about what's going on. So, if someone's interested in finding out more of the nitty-gritty, they should absolutely tune into Ready Up and go back and look at the past episodes, because we've already been talking about some of the changes that are coming. The other things there'll be some changes coming to World versus World, some of which we've already been talking about, and you'll be seeing unveiled on the blog as well. The big news on the PvP front is the announcement of the World Tournament Series, which is our first global Guild Wars 2 tournament. 3 major events, $150,000 prize pool, $50,000 at each event. It's cross-region, so there'll be teams from North America, Europe, and China at every single one of the events. That's in conjunction with Kongjang, our Chinese publisher. The first event is going to be end of November, beginning of December. We're still nailing down the details, but it'll be in Beijing. So we're really excited about that. It's competitive. The competitive scene in PvP is really important to us, and we've been continuing to take strides to improve our presence in that arena. Last year at PAX, we had our PvP tournament, and so this year we're really excited to make that step into the World Tournament Series.
Cool. Will Magic Find ever be changed either to allow more than 300% luck or affect other items such as chests and bonus chests?
That's a tough question. I don't know that either of us is the right person to answer that. I think when you talk about large systems like Magic Find, it's very difficult in a live game to make significant changes to that because it has so much impact on the economy and balance. That said, I think it's something that over the course of the game we would have to evaluate how much work would this entail, and how much impact would it have on the economy if we extend it to chests, or if we extend it beyond the current threshold. So, I don't know that we can say much more than that. It's something that we are aware of and we do talk about, but it's very much we want to make sure that we get something like that right, and so if we were going to do it, it would involve a lot of time.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the cap that you have currently right now is based on capping out from getting Magic Find from luck. I believe you can exceed that cap with buffs, so you can still get over 300. It's a system that there's a point at which it gets so over the line that we can't really go to that point, at least not yet. I mean, it's possible in the future we get to a point where the economy's at a different state and we kind of open up the floodgates more. But in terms of changing the cap right now, I mean, I haven't actually looked at the numbers, but my suspicion would be it's a fairly small percentage of people that are right up against the cap. And granted, there are absolutely people that are, and probably have been for a while. But we think that system has legs for the vast majority of people for a while still. When we get to a point where it seems like more and more people are hitting up against the cap, it's definitely something we'll look into. There are a lot of effects to making that change, so you know, I certainly wouldn't want to make any promises about what would happen, but I guarantee that as the game continues to live and that like I said, we see more and more people get close to that cap, that we'll be reevaluating it and making new decisions about what we want to do there. And you know, that means there are a wide variety of possibilities. We could move the cap to a different number. We could do other things and find other ways to kind of supplement that magic find or supplement what you get from luck at that point, so that it still feels like you're getting value out of that stuff.
Okay, thank you. If the viewers want to know more about Guildwars 2, where can they head?
Guildwars2.com.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thanks. You too.